Welcome to the home of forbidden love stories. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. The Seoul ballroom glittered like a predator's den. Crystal chandeliers refracting light across 200 mafia elites dressed in sharp Italian suits and traditional hanboks. Lee Min-woo stood beside his alpha husband, CEO Kim Ji-hoon, one hand protectively cradling the subtle swell beneath his tailored jacket. The champagne bubbles seemed to mock his racing heartbeat. Ji-hoon's fingers suddenly locked around Min-woo's wrist. Too tight. Possessive in all the wrong ways. The microphone screeched as Ji-hoon raised it, silencing the celebratory murmurs. Before we toast my grandfather's 80th year, his voice sliced through the room like winter wind. Let's celebrate something far more important. Truth. Min-woo's breath caught. No. Please no. The projector blazed to life behind them. Text messages scrolled across the screen, intimate, damning. Hotel receipts. Security footage of Min-woo pressed against another man in a darkened hallway, lips locked, hands desperate. 200 pairs of eyes turned predatory. Ji-hoon, please, Min-woo's voice cracked. Truth, Ji-hoon repeated, his alpha pheromones flooding the room with suffocating rage. He released Min-woo's wrist and pointed to the screen. My devoted Omega. Carrying another man's child while wearing my family's ring. Gasps echoed. Min-woo's mother-in-law smiled, vindicated. Remove it. Ji-hoon's command was granite. You don't deserve to wear the Kim crest while carrying that bastard. I can explain. Remove. The ring. Silence swallowed the ballroom. Min-woo's knees hit cold marble with a crack that seemed to shatter everything. His trembling fingers reached for the 5-carat diamond, the symbol of a love that once felt real. It clattered to the floor like a death knell. Min-woo twisted the ring on his finger, watching the 5-carat diamond catch the afternoon light streaming through their penthouse windows. The Kim family crest was engraved inside the platinum band, a tiger and a phoenix intertwined. 6 months ago, this ring had been a political contract. Now it felt like a noose. He traced the slight swell of his belly through his silk robe, guilt churning in his stomach. The memories came unbidden. Their wedding night, arranged cold, 2 strangers bound by family treaties to end a decades-long war between the Kim and Lee syndicates. Ji-hoon had been distant, professional, until Min-woo's heat suppressants failed 3 weeks later. The accidental heat had torn through their careful boundaries. Ji-hoon's alpha instincts had roared to life, scenting him, claiming him against the bedroom wall with a possessiveness that felt like salvation. I've got you, Ji-hoon had growled, and Min-woo had believed him. The burner phone vibrated in his pocket, shattering the memory. Min-woo's hands trembled as he read the message. Tonight changes everything. Tell him, or I will. S. He deleted it immediately, the phone clattering into the bathroom drawer beneath towels and lies. Across the city, Ji-hoon stood in his corner office overlooking Seoul's sprawling underworld. His assistant placed a sealed manila envelope on the mahogany desk, confidential DNA results stamped in red. Sir, you requested this personally. Ji-hoon stared at it, jaw tightening. He'd noticed the signs, Min-woo's evasive eyes, the secret phone calls, the way his Omega scent had shifted subtly, no longer perfectly attuned to his alpha pheromones. The private investigator had been thorough. Too thorough. Leave. Alone, Ji-hoon pocketed the envelope without opening it. Not yet. Tonight was his grandfather's celebration. Family honor demanded perfection. His phone buzzed. Min-woo's text. What time will you be home? Want to finalize the nursery colors? Something in Ji-hoon's chest twisted. He remembered last week. Min-woo curled against him on the couch, catalog open between them, debating between sage green and powder blue. Our son needs to know he's loved, Min-woo had whispered. Our son. Ji-hoon typed back. I'll be home by 6. We'll talk about everything tonight. He meant it as comfort. It read like a threat. Back at the penthouse, Min-woo stood before the full-length mirror, adjusting his tailored suit jacket to hide the baby bump. The diamond ring felt impossibly heavy. He met his own reflection, pale skin, dark circles, the face of a man drowning. Just get through tonight, he whispered to himself, smoothing down his jacket one final time. He'll never know. But the ring caught the light again, glinting like an accusation, and somewhere deep in his chest, Min-woo's Omega instincts screamed that everything was about to shatter. The Kim family estate sprawled across 3 acres of Seoul's most exclusive district, a fortress disguised as tradition. Red lanterns hung from ancient oak trees, casting crimson shadows across men in tailored suits and women draped in jewel-toned hanboks. Grandfather Kim's 80th birthday was less celebration than declaration. The patriarch who'd unified Seoul's underworld through blood and arranged marriages still ruled from his throne. Min-woo's hand trembled as Ji-hoon guided him through the entrance, palm warm against his lower back. The gesture looked protective. It felt like ownership. "Stand straight," Ji-hoon murmured. "They're watching." They always were. Grandfather Kim sat elevated at the head table, his weathered face carved from stone and secrets. He'd brokered Min-woo's marriage to end the Kim-Lee War. 2 Omega sons offered, Min-woo chosen for his beauty and breeding potential. The old man's eyes tracked them now, calculating, measuring Min-woo's worth by the swell beneath his jacket. "My grandson's Omega," Grandfather Kim announced as they approached. "Carrying the future. You've done well, boy." Min-woo bowed deeply, nausea rolling through him. "Thank you, Grandfather." Ji-hoon's mother appeared beside them, elegant in midnight blue silk, her smile sharp as surgical steel. "Min-woo's eye. You look pale. Pregnancy doesn't suit everyone." Her disapproval had never been subtle. Omegas should be demure, submissive, not the anxious creature her son had bonded with in a moment of biological weakness. "He's perfect," Ji-hoon said coldly, his alpha pheromones flaring in warning. His mother retreated with a tight smile. The nausea intensified. Min-woo swayed slightly, and Ji-hoon's grip tightened. "I'll get you water." "I'm fine." "You're not." Ji-hoon was already moving, leaving Min-woo exposed among circling predators in designer suits. Park Sung-joon materialized from the crowd, champagne flute in hand, smile predatory. Ji-hoon's most trusted beta advisor, sharp-featured, ambitious, always lurking in Min-woo's peripheral vision like a guilty secret given form. "Min-woo." Sung-joon's voice was velvet over razors. "You look radiant." "Don't." Min-woo's whisper was desperate. Sung-joon stepped closer, backing him against the hallway wall beneath an ancestral portrait. His breath reeked of expensive champagne and entitlement. "Tell him tonight. Tell Ji-hoon the baby's mine, or I will. Give me credit as the father, acknowledge what we had, or I'll destroy you both." "It was a mistake. You said you'd stay silent." "Plans change." Sung-joon's smile widened. "You think he doesn't already know? You think he's this attentive out of love?" He gestured toward the ballroom where Ji-hoon stood frozen, water glass in hand, staring directly at them. "He's been watching you all night, Min-woo. And he looks ready to kill." Across the room, Ji-hoon's expression was unreadable granite. The envelope in his jacket pocket felt like lead. Grandfather Kim tapped the microphone. "My grandson wishes to make a toast." Ji-hoon's eyes never left Min-woo as he took the stage. Min-woo's heart stopped. The microphone screeched feedback as Ji-hoon's fingers closed around it. Every conversation in the ballroom died. 200 faces turned toward the stage where Seoul's most feared alpha stood beneath his grandfather's crimson banner, expression carved from winter. "Before we toast my grandfather's legacy," Ji-hoon's voice was glacial precision, "let's celebrate something far more valuable. Truth." Min-woo's legs went numb. "No. Please God, no." The projector blazed to life behind Ji-hoon. Text messages scrolled across the screen in damning clarity. "I need you tonight, Min can't know," followed by hotel receipts, timestamps, security footage of Min-woo pressed against Sung-joon in a darkened corridor, their bodies intertwined, mouths desperate. The ballroom erupted in gasps. Min-woo felt every eye turn predatory, stripping him bare. "My devoted Omega," Ji-hoon continued, his voice never rising, somehow worse than screaming. "Carrying another man's child while wearing my family's ring." He pulled the DNA report from his jacket, held it high. 0% paternity match. Confirmed by 3 independent laboratories. "Ji-hoon, please." Min-woo's voice cracked, tears already streaming. "It was a mistake. I was lonely. You were always gone." Ji-hoon's alpha pheromones exploded through the room like a shockwave. Pure, undiluted rage that made every Omega present whimper and submit, that forced even the strongest alphas to bare their necks instinctively. Min-woo's knees buckled, his Omega biology screaming submission before his mind could process it. "You were lonely." Ji-hoon descended the stage steps slowly, deliberately. Each footfall echoed like a death knell. "I built an empire to protect you. Killed men who looked at you wrong. And you spread your legs for my own advisor, because you were lonely." "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," Min-woo sobbed, clutching his stomach protectively. Ji-hoon stood above him now, towering, alpha and executioner. "Remove the ring." "Please, just let me explain." "Remove the ring." Each word punctuated by a pulse of pheromones that made Min-woo's vision blur. You don't deserve to wear the Kim crest while carrying that bastard. Min-woo's trembling fingers reached for the diamond. It felt impossibly heavy, 6 months of lies condensed into 5 carats. He tried to slide it off, but his hands shook too violently. Now, Ji-hoon's growl was subhuman. The ring finally gave way. Min-woo held it for 1 heartbeat, his last moment of being Kim Min-woo instead of just ruined. Then it slipped from his fingers. The sound of platinum hitting marble echoed like a gunshot through the silent ballroom. Grandfather Kim clutched his chest, face purpling. Ji-hoon's mother smiled, vindicated and vicious. The Lee family delegation stood frozen in collective horror. Their Omega son had just destroyed both families' honor. How noble. Sung-jun's voice cut through the devastation as he stepped forward, champagne still in hand. Punishing Min-woo for seeking the affection you never gave him. He placed himself between Ji-hoon and Min-woo, protective stance theatrical. The baby's mine, yes. Because I gave him what you couldn't, time, attention, actual love. I'm not ashamed. Min-woo deserves better than a husband married to his empire. Ji-hoon's laugh was broken glass. You think you're his savior? I think I'm his choice. The ballroom exploded. Ji-hoon's enforcers moved toward Sung-jun. But suddenly a dozen men in the crowd drew weapons, hidden loyalists revealing themselves. Tables overturned. Champagne flutes shattered. Women in hanboks screamed as guns emerged from tailored jackets. You planned this, Ji-hoon snarled. A coup. A rescue, Sung-jun corrected, backing toward his armed supporters. Min-woo comes with me. But Ji-hoon was faster. He grabbed Min-woo by the collar, hauling him upright with brutal efficiency. Min-woo's feet barely touched ground as Ji-hoon dragged him through the chaos toward the exit. Camera flashes erupted. Every major syndicate's intelligence network capturing this moment. Please the baby, Min-woo gasped. That thing isn't my problem anymore. Ji-hoon's voice was dead empty. But you are. And you're going to pay for every lie. The doors slammed behind them, cutting off the sounds of violence, leaving only Min-woo's broken sobs and the weight of tomorrow's headlines that would destroy them both. The mountain cabin sat 3 hours north of Seoul, buried in pine forests where cell signals died and civilization became a distant memory. Min-woo had been here for 2 weeks, though time blurred into an endless cycle of cold nights and colder silence. 2 of Ji-hoon's enforcers stood guard outside, stone-faced men who delivered meals without speaking and ignored his pleas for a phone, for medicine, for mercy. The cramping had started 5 days ago. Sharp, vicious contractions that doubled Min-woo over and left him gasping on the rough wooden floor. Blood spotted his underwear that morning. Not much, but enough to send panic clawing up his throat. Please, he'd begged through the locked door. Something's wrong with the baby. I need a doctor. The guard's response was mechanical. Boss's orders. No outside contact. Ji-hoon's cruelty had teeth sharper than his words. Min-woo curled on the narrow bed now, one hand pressed to his stomach, feeling the flutter of movement that reassured him his baby still lived. Not Ji-hoon's baby, his mind corrected viciously. Never his. The memories came in waves, inescapable. 3 months ago, Ji-hoon had left for Busan to handle a territorial dispute, promising to return in 2 weeks. 2 weeks became 6. 6 became 12. Min-woo had rattled around their empty penthouse like a ghost. Ji-hoon's rushed phone calls growing shorter, colder, more transactional. I'm handling business. You're safe. That's what matters. But safety wasn't love. Safety was a gilded cage. Sung-jun had appeared at the penthouse one night with documents for Ji-hoon to sign remotely. He works you too hard, Sung-jun had said, pouring expensive whiskey, his smile sympathetic. You deserve better than waiting alone. It started innocently. Coffee meetings. Lunch when Min-woo felt too anxious to eat alone. Then, the suppressant pills Sung-jun claimed were premium vitamins for pregnancy. They'd masked Ji-hoon's alpha scent bond, dulled the mate connection until Min-woo could barely feel it. Made him vulnerable. Ji-hoon doesn't appreciate you, Sung-jun had whispered the first time he kissed Min-woo, pressing him against the kitchen counter. I see you. I want you. Min-woo had believed him. God help him, he'd believed every calculated word. Now, writing in the journal the guards had grudgingly provided, Min-woo's hand shook as he formed the words. Sung-jun never loved me. I was a pawn. A weapon against Ji-hoon. And I was too desperate, too lonely, too stupid to see it. Below that, I love my husband. I destroyed the only person who ever truly protected me. The ink blurred with tears. 300 kilometers south, Ji-hoon sat alone in his penthouse, surrounded by darkness and empty bottles of soju. The city lights sprawled below like dying stars. Min-woo's ring sat on the coffee table, the diamond catching ambient light, mocking him. His alpha instincts screamed contradictions. Kill them both. The Omega betrayed you. The child isn't yours. But beneath the rage lived something more dangerous. The ghost of Min-woo's laugh, the way he'd curl into Ji-hoon after nightmares, small and trusting. The morning he'd announced the pregnancy, eyes shining, believing they'd built something real. I should have stayed, Ji-hoon muttered to the empty room, fingers closing around the ring until metal bit flesh. I should have protected him better. His phone shattered the spiral. His second-in-command, voice urgent. Boss, we have a problem. What now? Sung-joon. He's made his move, seized the Busan ports, turned half your southern captains. He's claiming legitimacy through his child with Min-woo, saying you're unfit to lead, that the Kim bloodline runs through him now. Ji-hoon stood slowly, the ring clutched in his fist. How many loyal? 60%. Maybe less. It's splitting the family. War. Sung-joon had engineered everything, the affair, the pregnancy, the public humiliation. All to fracture Ji-hoon's empire from within. Mobilize everyone, Ji-hoon commanded, his voice returning to the steel that built kingdoms. And bring me Min-woo. If Sung-joon wants a war over that Omega, he'll get one. He looked at the ring one final time before pocketing it. Some bonds broke. Others burned. And Ji-hoon was about to set the world on fire. The broadcast hijacked every underground network simultaneously. Sung-joon's face filling screens across Seoul's criminal empire, his smile sharp as ambition. The Kim family has been led by a sterile alpha who couldn't even keep his Omega faithful. I carry the true bloodline now, through my son growing in Lee Min-woo. Leadership belongs to those who can actually produce heirs. Ji-hoon watched the feed from his war room, surrounded by captains whose loyalty suddenly felt negotiable. Sung-joon's words were calculated poison, striking at the one thing mafia culture valued above violence, succession. The message was still playing when Ji-hoon's phone rang. The mountain guard voice panicked. Boss, we're under attack. Military-grade force. They're taking the Omega. The line went dead. Min-woo woke to zip ties cutting his wrists and the stench of rotting fish. The warehouse was industrial, abandoned, Sung-joon's temporary kingdom built on stolen territory. At 8 months pregnant, every movement felt like agony. His body was swollen, exhausted, the baby pressing against his lungs. Sung-joon stood over him, no longer wearing the mask of sympathetic lover. Did you really think Ji-hoon would take you back? You're only valuable as leverage now. You said you loved me, Min-woo whispered. I said what you needed to hear. Sung-joon crouched down, gripping Min-woo's jaw. Those vitamins I gave you? Heat inducers. Industrial-grade suppressants to mask Ji-hoon's bond. I engineered every moment, Min-woo. Your heat cycles, your vulnerability, your desperate need for affection. You never had a choice. The words detonated like grenades. Min-woo's vision blurred. You raped me. I liberated you. And created the perfect weapon against Ji-hoon. Sung-joon patted Min-woo's stomach possessively. This child makes me legitimate. You're just the incubator. Horror crashed through Min-woo in waves. Every moment he'd thought was passion had been calculation. Every touch had been violation dressed as romance. He'd blamed himself for weakness when he'd been drugged into submission. At Kim family headquarters, Ji-hoon's inner circle fractured around him. Cut losses, his finance captain argued. The Omega's tainted. Sung-joon's already won the narrative. He's still leverage, another countered. We negotiate. We don't negotiate with traitors, Ji-hoon snarled. His phone rang, grandfather Kim, voice weakened by stroke but still commanding. Boy, listen to me. An alpha protects what's his, even if it's broken. You abandoned your Omega, and vultures circled. Fix him, claim that child regardless of blood, or lose everything I built. Power without loyalty is just tyranny waiting to collapse. The old man hung up. Ji-hoon stood, the decision crystallizing into cold purpose. He pulled weapons from the armory, guns, knives, the tools of the trade that built his empire. His loyal captains gathered, 30 men who'd bleed for their alpha. We're getting Min-woo back, Ji-hoon announced, loading rounds with mechanical precision. And Sung-joon dies tonight. Anyone with objections can leave now. No one moved. Ji-hoon checked his weapon one final time, Min-woo's ring hanging on a chain beneath his bulletproof vest. War had come, and he'd burn the world down to reclaim what was his. The warehouse exploded inward at midnight, flashbangs and breaching charges turning night into apocalyptic daylight. Ji-hoon's team moved like choreographed death, 30 men trained for urban warfare flooding through shattered doors. Gunfire erupted immediately. Sung-jun's guards returned fire from elevated positions, muzzle flashes illuminating rusted machinery and stacked shipping containers. "Find the Omega," Ji-hoon roared over the chaos, his Alpha command cutting through explosions. Inside, chained to a support beam in the basement, Min-woo screamed. Not from fear, though terror flooded him, but from the contraction ripping through his abdomen like a chainsaw. The stress, the violence, his body's desperate attempt at self-preservation had triggered labor 3 weeks early. No, no, no. His water broke, amniotic fluid pooling beneath him as another contraction seized. Blood followed, too much blood. Ji-hoon descended the basement stairs 4 at a time, weapon raised, instinct guiding him through smoke and shadows. Then he saw Min-woo, chained, sobbing, legs slick with blood and fluid, utterly terrified. Their eyes met. Every atom of rage in Ji-hoon's body transmuted into something more primal. His Omega was in labor, in danger, and every Alpha cell screamed protect. "I've got you," Ji-hoon breathed, holstering his weapon, rushing forward. The gun pressed against Min-woo's temple stopped him cold. Sung-jun emerged from the shadows, using Min-woo's body as a shield, his smile manic. "Drop everything. Your empire, your territory, your fucking pride. Sign it all over, or I paint these walls with his brain." Min-woo whimpered as another contraction hit, his body trying to birth a child while death pressed against his skull. Ji-hoon's weapon clattered to the concrete. His hands raised slowly, surrender incarnate. "You want power? Take it. The ports, the territories, the Kim name, all yours." His voice dropped to something subhuman, pure Alpha threat. "But you touch him, I'll burn this city down and everyone you love with it. Your mother in Daegu. Your sister in Incheon. I'll make them scream your name before they die." Sung-jun's hand trembled. "You're bluffing. Try me." The gunshot shattered the standoff, but not from Sung-jun's weapon. His own lieutenant shot him through the shoulder, the man stepping forward with Ji-hoon's money clip visible in his pocket. "Sorry, boss. Better offer." Sung-jun collapsed, screaming, gun skittering away. Ji-hoon was already moving, breaking Min-woo's chains with brutal efficiency, catching him as he fell. "The baby, something's wrong," Min-woo gasped. "I know. I'm here." Ji-hoon laid him down on his jacket, hands steady despite the chaos upstairs. He delivered exactly one baby in his life, a lieutenant's wife during a safe house emergency. The memory guided his hands now. "Push when I tell you." Min-woo screamed, pushed, bled. The basement filled with the sounds of violence above and birth below, life and death colliding. Ji-hoon coached him through contractions, pheromones flooding the space with calming Alpha scent despite the circumstances. The baby emerged in a rush of fluid and blood. A boy, tiny and furious, lungs filling with his first breath before releasing a wail that echoed off concrete. "He's perfect," Ji-hoon whispered, cradling the infant against his chest, using his shirt to clear airways. Across the basement, Sung-jun crawled toward the exit, bleeding, broken. "This isn't over," he spat. "That child is mine." Sirens wailed in the distance. Ji-hoon looked up, eyes dead. "Run. Because when I'm done protecting them, I'm coming for you." Sung-jun disappeared into darkness, leaving only threats and bloodstains. Ji-hoon turned back to Min-woo and the screaming newborn between them. 3 lives irrevocably bound by violence and something that might become love again. The private hospital wing existed in sterile silence, broken only by the rhythmic beeping of monitors. Min-woo lay in the recovery bed, stitched and medicated, staring at the empty bassinet beside him. The baby, 3 pounds, 2 ounces, lived in the NICU down the hall, behind glass and wires, fighting the battle premature infants wage against a world they entered too soon. Ji-hoon's guard stood outside the door. Protection or prison, Min-woo couldn't tell anymore. The doctor entered with a manila folder, expression carefully neutral. "Mr. Lee, your toxicology results." She laid them on the bed. Sustained levels of pharmaceutical-grade heat inducers and bond suppressants. Administered over approximately 3 months. These drugs, they would have made you highly susceptible to suggestion, altered your neurochemistry, essentially compromised your ability to consent. The words landed like absolution and damnation simultaneously. Min-woo's hands trembled as he read the report. Chemical proof that his mind had been hijacked, that every moment with Sung-jun had been manufactured. But it didn't erase the guilt, The shame. The fact that he'd still said yes even if his yes had been engineered. Ji-hoon entered as the doctor left. He looked haggard, still wearing yesterday's blood-stained shirt beneath a hastily donned jacket. They stared at each other across medical equipment and shattered trust. "I thought you didn't love me," Min-woo whispered finally, tears streaming. "You were always working, always cold in public, always choosing the empire over me. I felt invisible." And Sung-joon. He saw that weakness. Exploited it. Made me feel wanted when you made me feel like an obligation. Ji-hoon sank into the chair beside the bed, head in hands. "I gave you a ring but never gave you my time." His voice cracked. "I thought providing safety was love. Thought eliminating threats was devotion. I built walls around you and called it protection when really it was neglect. The baby isn't yours." Min-woo's voice broke on the admission. DNA confirmed it. Sung-joon's son. "I know." Silence stretched between them, heavy with impossible choices. The door burst open. Ji-hoon's mother, imperious even in crisis. "Annulment papers. Sign them. That child carries traitor blood. You cannot claim. Get out." Ji-hoon's alpha command was absolute. She recoiled, then tried again. "Your grandfather said bonds are forged in fire." Grandfather Kim's voice rasped from the doorway, leaning heavily on his cane, still recovering from his stroke. "The boy was drugged, manipulated, used as a weapon against my grandson. And the child, innocent of his father's sins." His ancient eyes fixed on Ji-hoon. "You claim him, or you're no alpha of mine." The old man left, taking Ji-hoon's mother with him. Ji-hoon stood slowly, walked to the window overlooking the NICU. Through the glass, he could see the tiny infant, tubes and monitors, impossibly fragile, fighting to survive. "Take me to him," Ji-hoon said. The NICU nurse guided Ji-hoon's hands through the incubator portals. The baby was so small, all translucent skin and delicate bones. Ji-hoon touched one tiny hand, and miniature fingers wrapped around his thumb instinctively. His alpha instincts roared to life, not rejection but fierce, overwhelming protection. This child was Min-woo's. And Min-woo was his, broken bond or not. Ji-hoon bent close, scenting the infant through the medical equipment. Beneath antiseptic and premature baby scent, he found something that called to his soul. "Mine," Ji-hoon whispered. "You're mine now." The baby's heartbeat steadied on the monitor, as if recognizing his alpha's claim. 3 months painted soul in autumn colors. Gold and rust bleeding through the city, while Min-woo built a life in the modest apartment Ji-hoon had secured 6 blocks from his penthouse. Close enough for protection. Far enough for healing. Ji-woo slept in his bassinet, finally healthy enough to leave the hospital, his tiny chest rising and falling with the rhythm of hard-won survival. Min-woo watched him obsessively, terrified that breathing might stop, that this fragile miracle might slip away. The door clicked, Ji-hoon's daily visit precisely at 6. He carried groceries, diapers, the practical provisions of a man learning fatherhood through action rather than instinct. "How is he?" Ji-hoon asked, voice softer than it had been in their married months. "Sleeping finally." Min-woo didn't look up. These conversations still felt like walking on glass. Ji-hoon set down the bags and moved to the bassinet, gazing at Ji-woo with an expression that transformed his brutal features into something almost tender. Therapy had done that, twice weekly sessions with a specialist in alpha aggression and attachment disorders. Ji-hoon was learning words like emotional availability and trauma response, learning that control and love weren't synonyms. Min-woo attended his own sessions, rebuilding self-worth from the wreckage of manipulation and public humiliation. At midnight, Ji-woo's wails summoned them both. Min-woo stumbled from the bedroom, but Ji-hoon was already there, lifting the infant with practiced hands, checking temperature, preparing formula with the efficiency of repetition. "I've got him," Ji-hoon murmured, settling into the rocking chair. He sang, low, off-key, a traditional lullaby his grandmother had sung decades ago. Ji-woo quieted, tiny fist clutching Ji-hoon's collar. Min-woo watched from the doorway, something in his chest cracking open. The threat arrived via text 2 weeks later. "That child is mine. I'm coming for what's owed." Sung-joon had escaped during a prison transfer, vanished into Seoul's underground with vengeance as his compass. Then Ji-woo spiked a fever. 104 degrees, convulsions, the emergency room a blur of panic and needles. Bacterial infection, the doctors said, treatable but terrifying in an infant so young. Min-woo shattered. 3 months of holding himself together disintegrated in the hospital waiting room, sobs tearing from his throat as Ji-hoon pulled him close. I can't lose him. I can't. You won't. Ji-hoon's alpha pheromones flooded the space, calming, protective. You're mine. Both of you. No one takes my family. Not Sung-joon, not fate, not anything. The words unlocked something. Min-woo buried his face in Ji-hoon's chest, breathing in the scent he'd been denied, the bond he'd thought permanently severed. Ji-woo recovered over days. And during those long hospital nights, something shifted. Ji-hoon held Min-woo through nightmares. Min-woo accepted Ji-hoon's touch without flinching. The bond, dormant and damaged, began knitting itself back together. Min-woo's heat arrived unexpectedly on the fifth night, triggered by proximity and emotional catharsis. Ji-hoon's rut answered immediately, biological imperative colliding with hard-won consent. Are you sure? Ji-hoon asked, even as pheromones threatened to drown them both. I'm sure, Min-woo whispered. I want this. I want you. They came together in the hospital's family room, desperate and healing, the bond snapping back into place with an intensity that left them both gasping. It wasn't forgiveness, not completely. But it was a beginning. 2 weeks later, Ji-hoon knelt in there, not Min-woo's, their apartment. The ring was simple platinum, no ostentatious diamond, engraved with words that meant everything. Forgiven, not forgotten. I'll spend every day earning this, Ji-hoon promised. Min-woo's hands trembled as the ring slid home. I know. Ji-woo cooed from his bassinet, oblivious to the rebirth happening around him. And for the first time in months, their small family felt whole. The nursery window shattered at 2 a.m., glass and moonlight exploding inward as Sung-joon dropped into Ji-woo's room, gun already raised toward the crib where the 1-year-old slept. His face was gaunt from months underground, eyes fevered with obsession. My son, Sung-joon whispered. Finally, Min-woo burst through the door, instinct overriding fear. He threw himself between the gun and crib as the shot fired, the bullet tearing through his shoulder, spinning him sideways. Pain detonated white-hot, but he stayed standing, arms spread wide, protecting Ji-woo even as blood soaked his shirt. Over my dead body, Min-woo gasped. That can be arranged. Ji-hoon's roar shattered the moment. Pure alpha fury as he crashed into Sung-joon, driving him away from his family. No guns now, just fists and rage and the brutal mathematics of violence. Ji-hoon fought with surgical precision, targeting hands, fingers, bones. Each crack echoed like justice. You'll never hold a gun again, Ji-hoon snarled, shattering Sung-joon's right hand. Never hold a child. The left hand followed, pulverized. Never touch what's mine. Police sirens wailed. Ji-hoon's prearranged call had brought them exactly on time. Sung-joon was dragged away screaming, hands ruined, facing life imprisonment without parole. His co-conspirators were eliminated within days. Quiet deaths in dark alleys, Ji-hoon's empire solidifying through blood and fear. 1 year later, their home smelled of birthday cake and new beginnings. Min-woo worked at the dining table, design sketches spread before him, freelancing from home while Ji-woo napped. The scar on his shoulder was visible in his sleeveless shirt, a badge of survival he no longer hid. Ji-hoon arrived at exactly 5 p.m., briefcase abandoned at the door, scooping Ji-woo into his arms as the toddler shrieked with delight. Appa! The word still made Ji-hoon's chest tighten. Not biological father, but the only father Ji-woo would ever know. The birthday party was intimate, grandfather Kim doting on his great-grandson. The Lee family reconciled and impressed by Ji-hoon's claim despite paternity. Min-woo's parents watched Ji-hoon with Ji-woo, seeing gentleness they'd never imagined the ruthless CEO possessed. He's good for you, Min-woo's mother whispered. Both of you. That evening, cleaning up, Min-woo found old photos buried in a drawer. Images from that nightmare celebration, his face tear-streaked, ring falling, the moment everything shattered. He moved to throw them in the trash. Wait! Ji-hoon's hand stopped him. Keep them. They remind us what we survived. Together, they carried the photos to the fireplace. The flames consumed the images slowly, curling edges, blackening faces, turning trauma into ash. Min-woo's hand found Ji-hoon's, their rings catching firelight. Min-woo still flinched at loud noises. Ji-hoon still struggled with jealousy when other alphas looked too long. But they attended therapy, communicated, chose each other daily. Ji-hoon lifted Ji-woo, who grabbed his father's face with chubby hands, giggling. Min-woo rested his head on Ji-hoon's shoulder, breathing in their mingled scents, Alpha, Omega, child family. Some bonds break, Min-woo whispered. Ours was reforged in fire. And we're never letting go, Ji-hoon finished. Outside, a black car idled across the street. A man in an expensive suit sat behind the wheel, Opening a file marked appeal approved. Sung-jun's case, new evidence, technicalities that could mean freedom. He lifted binoculars, focused on the family silhouetted in warm light. Then he smiled. Cut to black. The Yendi, or is it?